Okay, I think we'll get started now. First of all, a warm welcome to all of you to the final session of the Indonesia Economic Forum. This is the 10th annual Indonesia Economic Forum. We started in 2014. Back in the day when Pashoeb, myself, we were all working in the different life, in different media. And we started with this idea of having an economic forum in English language, because that's what was missing. We did not have a narrative about Indonesia to the rest of the world in English. Now you see there are many. But when we were starting it, there were none. There were only a handful of such programs running in English. And we wanted to have a story about Indonesia, the narrative of Indonesia to be told to the whole world. So we decided that we would be coming up with a program, which was initially a conference. So every year, Indonesia Economic Forum would do the annual summit. For those of you who've been here before, you would remember that we would do this in the Shangri-La Hotel. It would be 2 days, and there would be 700 to 1,000 people. And the conference would be over, and we would all go home. And then COVID changed everything we did, because we forced in the Indonesia Economic Forum to become digital. And we did 2 years of only online. But we learned something, that we could now reach thousands. We don't need to reach only 700 or 800. And when we went online, we started reaching 5,000 people, 7,000 people. So now we have come back to a slightly more normal world. And our format is now hybrid, where we only invite speakers in the room, and the audience is all connected online. So we have today about 1,000 people who are logged in on YouTube and Zoom, but because of the time zone difference, we don't have any live viewers from Europe or US. They will watch the recorded sessions, and over the next 30 days, our team will be amplifying key messages on short clips on YouTube Shorts, Instagram, even TikTok. We've got a new TikTok channel that has just started. And we are able to then take the outreach of whatever we learn here to a larger audience. And our target is between 10 to 20,000 people in 49 countries. So that's how the Indonesia Economic Forum has grown. I would like to first thank Pak Darmono for being here today. In case you all know, Pak Darmono has been a speaker at almost all our Indonesia Economic Forums. He has supported us. He is one among several people, including Gita Vriawan, Shinta Kamdani, Sandiaga Uno, Tom Lembong, James Castle. They are the advisory group that has been helping Indonesia Economic Forum to make sure we talk about the right topics and have the right people in the room. Pak Darmono has been one of them. In fact, I always say he's not just an industrialist, he's a super industrialist, because not only is he an entrepreneur that represents industry. You know, JABABEKA has got a lot of industrial estates, and he's a super industrialist because with him, he brings many industrialists to Indonesia. So that is not an easy task, and he has done exceptionally well with JABABEKA. I think being the beacon of what an industrial estate and special economic zones should be. Many have followed him and learned from him, and how they have now built a footprint across Indonesia. That's the collective learning that we have been doing. And I think forums like Indonesia Economic Forum like to talk about how you can be a force multiplier, how you can be an accelerator of good ideas, good projects, good initiatives done by good people. And with this kind of interaction that we have today, we'll be able to multiply whatever we're doing into a massive level. So our moderator for the day today is Shoaib Kagda. We have many other very esteemed people in the room today. Dr. Bayu, I noticed that you're here. Would you join us in the front table, Pa? Because we'd like to have you as one of our key speakers. And anybody else, if you would like to be participating in the discussion, kindly move to the table and not the back seats. We would be talking about, I'll give you a little context about what the session about today is. We have Pa Revli here, who represents a private sector initiative that is helping in Nusantara. I know a lot of you want to know what is happening in Nusantara. He would be able to give us a presentation and talk us through that. These are important because what Pa Darmono does and Revli does, and we have several other people. We have Reza from the Ministry of Trade. These are the essential stakeholders in how Indonesia develops, not just in the big cities, but in the kabupatens and kotas. You know, Indonesia has got 38 provinces now, but we do have 416 kabupatens, and we have 98 cities, kota. That means there are 98 wali kota who runs the cities, and there are 416 bupatis. They are the power structure in the region. And if we have a power structure like that in Indonesia, it is a blueprint and a framework for how development can reach across Indonesia, not bit by bit, but simultaneously. So if we understand that leveraging of the infrastructural makeup of Indonesia, or the framework that's already in place, and how do we leverage that framework in order to take all the products, services, and projects that we have into the regions, it will create development for Indonesia at a much faster pace. So if a large country of 270 million people have to be digitalized, the topic of the day becomes very important, because you know the topic of Indonesia Economic Forum this week is a bit of a wordplay. We are talking about unleashing digitalization across Indonesia. The key word here is unleashing. Because unleashing doesn't mean good. It could be bad. It could be a nightmare. You could unleash a dragon. You could unleash a lion among, the lambs. And it could also be very good that you're unleashing a very positive energy into the regions, which allows you to do a lot of good and a lot of development. So we must be cognizant of the fact that when we unleash something like digitalization across the regions, it comes with a lot of responsibility, it comes with a lot of opportunity, it comes with a lot of challenges. And what we do collectively in the room here will play a big role in how the outcome would be in a few years from now. So I think the topic is very apt, because unleashing digitalization is more relevant for the regions, which is so fragmented and broken up into little pieces. We have to really find a methodology to manage it well, and we have to find a common resolve and a common agenda among people like us, that we are able to work towards regionalized growth of digitalization opportunities in a responsible way. And I say digitalization is different from digital. Yeah, we're not talking about building digital companies. We're talking about digitalization, which means people know how to use digital in their own businesses, in their own lives. You could be in agriculture, you could be in local craft manufacturing, you could be in fisheries, you could be in any kind of other business, which you don't think today is a digital business. But actually, yes, once they have access to payment systems, once they have access to other digital infrastructure services, it will change their business model. When the business model changes, they have become digitalized. They are a user of digital technology, may not be a creator. So there are the various aspects of understanding digitalization, which will be the discussion topic today. I'm very happy to now hand it over to my most competent friend and colleague, Shoaib Kagda, who will be moderating the session. And thank you very much for all our esteemed speakers who are here. Remember that there will be a session. The format is that we will hear from our expert speakers, and then there would be a discussion format where all of you will get a chance to participate and able to offer opportunities, ideas, insights, wisdom. That's the input we are looking from you, so that we can then take your messages and amplify it on our social media. More people will hear what you have to say. Thank you very much, and looking forward to active participation today. Now over to you, Shoaib.
Thank you, Sachin, for laying out for doing half my job, in the sense of laying out the theme for this afternoon session. I think, as we all know, Indonesia is a vast country. It's 3 time zones. It stretches across 5,000 kilometers. So managing a country like Indonesia is very challenging. And when we talk about digitalization, I think we are really at the moment only scratching the surface, right? We have digitalization only in most of the big cities, but across the regions, as Sachin has pointed out, in places far-flung across the eastern part of Indonesia, many of these regions have only seen electricity in the last few years. So to talk about digitalization of these far-flung areas is kind of a big step, yeah. But the fact is, if Indonesia is to become a digital nation, if it is to achieve its stated ambitions of golden era by 2045, digitalizing these regions will be critical, and in fact is the most pressing challenge facing the country. I think in the big cities, we have the infrastructure, but I think beyond just the hard infrastructure, what we really have not focused on so far is a social infrastructure for digitalization. Are our people ready? Are we going to get a nation of TikTokers, or are we going to get a nation of innovators? Because everybody can access TikTok, but what does it really do? You know? So in that sense, education system, our value systems, our ability to use digital technology for innovation and not just be consumption driven. Because so far we've been very consumption driven. We've imported technology, but we've not really created technology and innovation within Indonesia. So I think with that kind of, how we're going to go forward and how the regions are going to grow, in terms of both the economic integration of the region as well, in the regions, as well as some of the key challenges facing the region. We have with us this afternoon, we're very honored and very privileged to have Pak Darmono, SD Darmono, as very popularly known. Pak Darmono has been a very good friend, in fact, a mentor to the IEF for many years. He's actually given us a lot of insights and inputs and helped us to grow. And Pak Darmono, of course, within Indonesia's not just business community, but I think within even government and civil society is very well known. Of course, I think his calling card is that he is the pioneer for setting up industrial estates in Indonesia. I think JABABEKA was his innovation and idea, and he brought in a lot of partners, including foreign investors, into Indonesia to set up one of the first industrial estates, yeah, Pak. And of course, since then, we've seen a flourishing and mushrooming of industrial estates across Indonesia. Pak Darmono, of course, is also a very renowned author, but I think his books have really illustrated his thinking. And the way he thinks is basically you don't have to have everything ready before you start something. You gotta innovate on the go, if I may say so, yeah. But one of his best books that I have also read is Building a Boat While Sailing. Yeah? I mean, who thinks about that, right? You build a boat and you sail, but you build a boat while you're sailing. And I think that's a very interesting concept, intellectually and as an entrepreneur. So he's also earned many awards and also notable achievements, including being voted as the CEO's choice of the year amongst business leaders. So even amongst his compatriots, he's well recognized. So Pak Darmono, thank you very much. You've always graced us with your presence at the IEF. We are hoping to hear from you. I think the challenges facing Indonesia, as I said, in the regions, and also I think in its digitalization journey, there are many, many models out there. Maybe from your perspective, how does Indonesia balance that, both internally and externally? Pak Darmono.
Well, thank you, Sweb, for your kind introduction. Well, before I answered your question about how Indonesia will take advantage of this digitalization, let me just go back a little bit about why I've been involved in the industrial estate development. 40 years ago, I had the privilege of meeting a lot of industrialists who had the same kind of worry about how we can help government to progress the economy. And at that time, of course, internet was something new. And Indonesia to catch up with the world, from the third world country to the first world country, I think we have to embrace this ICT, information technology. At that time, we didn't possibly call it digitalization. But the idea was that how we can use digitalization to leapfrog, yeah, our education for the young people and so on. So to start with, we started with an industrial estate in Cikarang, a consortium of 21 business people, including Pak Benjamin Suryaja from Astra, Pak Darmono from Salim Group, and so on. So this was the beginning, and from there for 40 years, I learned more and more about how difficult actually it was to develop the economy without educating the people, without using the technology. So in 2012, I had the opportunity to meet Pak Jokowi when he was governor of Jakarta. I already formed a President Estate Club at that time. President Club was a club for the academics, the businessmen, and government to have discussion, networking, changing of information, basically to produce something for government, as a think tank of government. Pak Bayu here was involved. So in 2012, I went to see Pak Jokowi as a governor. I said, Pak, whoever clever the governor of Jakarta, Jakarta will still be congested and flooded. Yeah. Unless we develop cities all over Indonesia to create jobs in the rural area. So he said, well, how come? I'm a governor. I said, well, but you hold the identity card, ATP of the Jakarta people here. And a lot of people from every corner of Indonesia came to Java, to Jakarta, and become successful. Like yourself, you are from Solo, I'm from Magelang, Pak Teddy Rahmat is from Majalengka, and so on, right? So we will all become successful, and we get connection to capital, to technology, and the bird market. So why don't you ask them to help to create jobs in their own hometowns? So we were able to invite Pak Jokowi in our president lounge in Menara Batavia with a lot of businessmen and also some ex-ministers like Paul Suyan Jalil and also Teten Mas Duki was there, who became later on the president's man, right? So then Pak Jokowi mentioned about Jakarta actually has got the most poverty. 34% of the people are really poor because they have no more land, they live in small houses. So when they are sacked from factories, they really are, this really suffered. Unless it's different when people are in the countryside. When there is no job, at least they can still plant something, farm fish and so on, so they can still live. Jakarta is the worst situation. But on the other hand, young people like to move to the cities. Urbanization is something which is a must. Young people do not want to work in the farm anymore. So I said that we need to build at least 100 industrial estates all over Indonesia. So when he became president, he invited me to come one-on-one. At that time it was possible, now it's impossible. One-on-one says, so what's your idea of developing 100 industrial estates? I said, well, first we must have a regulation, like a special economic zone, where it has to be really special. In different places, it has to be different. The specialty must be different. It depends on the strength of the area, the strength of the natural resources, the strength of the people, and also the weaknesses. And also, are they ready or not? And then we have to ask investors, what do they want? What kind of regulation they want? So that they will make money, but then government and also the people will enjoy creation of job, transfer of technology, and maybe improvement of the environment, not ruining the environment. So with that kind of approach, I think we can attract many investors from overseas. So he said, okay, you come back next week. So 6 ministers were asked to listen to this idea. So all agreed, yes, special economic zone is the answer to that one. In a special economic zone, we must have a system as such, like in a hotel or shopping mall, it has to be autocratic. It cannot be democratic because we have to compete with the world market. So that was the idea. So that is just the beginning. Now, if we go now to this title of unleashing digitalization across the nation, first I think we have to learn from China. So allow me to talk a bit about China's digital revolution. And this, I actually got it from internet, but I'm not an expert in this one. So you could also go through this. But this is. China has successfully digitalized the entire nation in a world where technology is evolving at an unprecedented pace. China's digital transformation serves as a remarkable example of what can be achieved when a nation fully embraces the digital age. Now, the opening up of the Chinese economy under the leadership of Deng Xiaoping in the late 1970s devoted with the creation of the World Wide Web. This possibly we can talk later because we do not have Deng Xiaoping here and also different system to China. Since then, China has experienced both revolution, industrial and digital, almost simultaneously. Whereas it took the West almost 300 years to implement all the changes that resulted from the Industrial Revolution. China did it in less than 3 decades, transforming itself from an underdeveloped country into one of the largest economies in the world. The pace of China's digital revolution has been even faster. The country is becoming a leading force in the world's digital transformation, which is creating a new driver for the Chinese economy. China's digital economy, ranking second in the world for many years, has seen robust growth and become a major growth engine for the countries marching toward modernization. The scale of China's digital economy reached 50.2 trillion yuan, about 7.25 trillion US dollars in 2022, accounting for 41.5% of the GDP. The scale was only 2.6 trillion and accounting for 13.9% of GDP in 2005. China has also rolled out a plan for the overall layout of the country's digital development, vowing to make important progress in the construction of a digital China by 2025, with effective interconnectivity in digital infrastructure, a significantly improved digital economy, and major breakthroughs achieved in digital technology innovation. By 2035, China will be at the global forefront in terms of digital development, and its digital progress in the economic, political, cultural, social, and ecological fields will be more coordinated, also sufficient, according to the plan. What is the foundation of the success? The development of Chinese digital economy benefits from the construction of infrastructure in digital technology in China. This part introduces supercomputing, 5G navigation satellite system, and big data center, respectively. China has 167 of the world's top 500 supercomputers with a total capacity of 211 PF-LOPS in 2022. This is another measurement, PFLOP/S. The United States has 165 of the top machines with a cumulative capacity of 173 PF-LOP/S compared to 211 in China. That is a reversal of the ranking 15 years ago. The 5G subscribers reached 510 million in 2022, a net increase of 150 million over last year, accounting for 30.3% of mobile phone users and making it the largest user group in the world. Chinese operators target 560 million 5G subscribers by the end of 2023, which would comprise almost 35% of the world's users. As for coverage in China, 5G covers all the urban areas of prefecture cities and the county, and more than 92% down in the rural areas. China has the number of 341, the largest number of cities covered by 5G, followed by the US with 279 cities and South Korea with 85 cities. In February 2022, China approved the construction first 4 regional computing hubs, the Yangtze River Delta Hub, the Jinji Hub, the Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau, Greater Bay Area Hub, and the Chengdu, Chongqing Hub, and another 4 regional hubs of Guizhou, Inner Mongolia, Gansu, and Ningxia are prepared to guaranteeing computing power for the future. Despite these 8 computing hubs in key areas in Western and Eastern China, the Chinese government also planned to construct 10 data centers cluster within these hubs. These 10 data center clusters will contain several data centers adopted to the purposes of the region. As an essential space infrastructure, China had developed the 3rd mature satellite navigation system after GPS and GLONASS by developing 45 satellites in 27 years, which serve transportation, public security, emergency management, agriculture, forestry, and other industries, integrated into power, finance, communication, and other infrastructure, and widely entered the fields of public consumption and people's livelihood. Cloud computing emerged as a critical pillar of the digital economy. The growth of digital economic output in the world's top 35 economies were proved to be highly associated with the public cloud market. According to recent data, Chinese cloud infrastructure services expenditure grew 21% year-on-year to reach $7.3 billion in Q1 2022. 13% of global cloud infrastructure spend. The top 4 leaders of their cloud service vendors, Alibaba Cloud, Huawei Cloud, Tencent Cloud, and Baidu AI Cloud, accounted for 79% of total expenditure in China. E-commerce and digital payments. China is the largest e-commerce market globally, generating almost 50% of the world's transactions. According to eMarketers, China's online retail transactions reached more than 710 million digital buyers, and transactions reached $2.29 trillion in 2020, with forecasts to reach $3.56 trillion by 2024. In 2021, China became the largest market for e-commerce with a revenue of $1.5 trillion, placing it ahead of the United States. Alibaba's Taobao and Tmall, which is 50.8% market share, followed by JD.com, own 15.9%, and Pinduoduo, 13.2%, are the domestic platforms that dominate China's e-commerce market. China has leapfrogged traditional payment system, embracing a cashless society powered by digital payment platforms such as Alipay and WeChat Pay. Mobile payments have become the norm, with consumers using their smartphones to pay for everything from groceries to transportation. This digital payment revolution has transformed transactions and enabled financial inclusion, particularly for the unbanked population. China's digital payment ecosystem is a model for other countries seeking to modernize their payment system. According to Statista, the total transaction value in the global digital payment market is projected to reach $9 trillion in 2023. Of this, the Chinese digital payments market is expected to account for the world's highest accumulated transaction value of $3.6 trillion. Between 2023 and 2027, the compound annual growth rate, or CAGR, for the total transaction value of digital payments worldwide is predicted to be 14.66%, resulting in an estimated total amount of $15 trillion. Within the same period, the total transaction value of Chinese digital payment is projected to experience a CAGR of 7.7%, leading to an estimated total of $4.9 trillion. The rise of the tech giants. China is home to some of the world's largest and most innovative tech companies, including Alibaba, Tencent, and Baidu. These companies have played a crucial role in driving China's digital revolution and expanded their global influence. Alibaba, for instance, has revolutionized e-commerce with its platforms such as
Taobao and Tmall, while Tencent has pioneered the integration of social media and messaging services through WeChat. These tech giants have transformed the domestic market and become major players on the international stage. China's transition from manufacturing hub to its hotbed has largely been driven by government's policies. The nation prioritizes technology development as a strategic goal, and the government channels massive investment into becoming a world leader with state-of-the-art tech hubs. Alongside this policy, the government also created special economic zones in 4 different regions, including Shenzhen, to further attract foreign business. China's most prominent unicorns are focused on automation and AI, along with a strong hardware and IoT presence in the impressive Shenzhen setups ecosystem. The government also created the Chinese Government Guidance Fund to facilitate public-private investment. This fund's collaboration between central, provincial, and local government focus on investment into industries with emerging and high-potential technologies, as well as the digital transformation of traditional industries. China's startup ecosystem is currently ranked first in East Asia and 12th in the world. Global impact and cooperation. China has been active in seeking cooperation with the international community to promote digital trade and governance. The digital economy is not only reshaping the Chinese economy, but also creating business opportunities for foreign companies. In November 21, China filed an application to join the Digital Economy Partnership Agreement, or DIPA, a new type of trade partnership agreement signed by Chile, New Zealand, and Singapore, which seeks to bolster digital trade. This application is in line with China's direction of further deepening domestic reform and opening up further to strengthen digital economic cooperation with other countries. On another front, the country has also been actively sharing its digital knowledge by offering technology, equipment, and services to less developed countries. Challenges and ethical consideration. With the rapid development of the digital economy, it has both pros and cons. China faces many challenges in the new wave of technological revolution. Firstly, the digital divide refers to the gap between people who have adequate access to information and communication technology and people who have poor or no access to ICT. Secondly, in the era of big data, various internet services must collect users' information to provide better services. The internet collects more personal data to fit its growth. However, this simultaneously poses the risk of a privacy breach. Thirdly, the employment model of the new industry may affect the traditional industry and disrupt the social security system. The digital economy could lead to structural unemployment. The conclusion is China's GDP is increased from $360.86 billion in 90 to $1.21 trillion in 2000, until it reached 17.96 trillion in 2022. The size of the Chinese economy has grown by about 49 times since 1990 and about 15 times since 2000, and is the second largest global economy after the United States. In the era of rapid technology advancement, China has emerged as a global leader in the digital realm. The Chinese government has made the development of the digital economy to a national strategy, formulated development plans, and vigorously developed the digital economy. The rapid development of the information and communication technology sector has brought significant economic and social benefits. So that is what we can learn from China. Now, how about Indonesia? So my book about Think Big, Start Small, and Move Fast is the first book. It's actually a very good motto that we cannot just copy China, because China is a continental country. Indonesia is an archipelagic countries. And China has got 5,000 years of history. We are basically a new country, 78 years old. And still we have many, many things to do. So the second book I wrote was, so I've mentioned about building a ship while sailing. So we have to be patient. How to educate our people, how to build the infrastructure, and so on. But we can always start small. Take, for example, a shopping mall. our shopping mall is not it's as good as any shopping mall in the first world. Why? Because in a shopping mall, this is small, and also the system is a corporate system. So the discipline is there, the regulation is clear. That's we can do. So if we have a giant shopping mall in the special economic zones, then surely we can also follow the system like in Singapore with the regulation as such that ensure the investors will feel happy and secure. Today, Singapore is the most expensive country in the world, but still people invest in Singapore as well. The government, what's about less than a year ago, increased the stamp duty for foreigners to buy property in Singapore by 60%. And people keep buying. Instead of the price going down, the price keep going up. That is because of certainty of law, security, and conveniences produced by Singapore government. Singapore government has got only basically one party, right? People Action Party. Very strong government. Is this democratic system? I think it's reasonably democratic. Yeah. Now we can do that in our special economic zones. Now, special economic zone, it doesn't have to be all manufacturing side. It can be tourism, it can be agriculture, it can be education hub, whatever which will improve or speed up the economic progress in that area. And by having special economic zone, we have the place where we can educate our people. Now, we have more than 4,000 universities in Indonesia, but we also have a lot of people who cannot get job. Unemployment actually is also big. Maybe not totally unemployed. Yeah, a lot of people have got jobs, odd jobs. One day being a bakso seller, tomorrow maybe a construction worker, and so on. They are not totally unemployed. But a lot of them have got that kind of jobs, which means that there is a challenge for us to go into this digitalization process. So education is very important, not just by having a lot of universities with the theory, but we need a lot of industries where students can have practical experience on the job training, internship, either in a hotel, in a shopping mall, in the factories, wherever, so that they can become skillful, knowledgeable because they study in the universities, but become skillful because they work in the industry. And also at the same time, we need to make sure that we also build their characters. And industrialization, give a very good education for the young people to be disciplined, to be on time, to follow the company's regulation. And that is character building in a way. So that by having education in the industrial estate, in the universities, in the industrial estate, polytechnic in the industrial estate, then the most difficult thing into the digitalization across the nation is first tackled by giving them a very good education. And by working in the factories, multinational companies, like what we have in JABABEKA, Cikarang, we have more than 2,000 factories from 34 countries. You name it, there are Samsung, Toyota, Honda, and so on. So that our children, our graduates, can work in the factories and learn and also experience the latest technology, most expensive machineries, without having to go to overseas. This one, if we can have 100 cities like this in Indonesia, I think we'll become the most expensive country in the world. So this is possibly something which we can discuss further. What's the problem? There are many problems. But if I look at the history of Indonesia, which I always mentioned in my book, Building a Ship While Sailing, and the third book, Bringing Civilization Together, every 25 years, we have a cyclical change. We did not have revolution, but I think we had evolution. 1945, of course, we had revolution and we became independent. 1965, there was a change of government, change of system. So in 1970, Order Baru, the new order came into power with different system. And that was not revolution, it was evolution. I was 21-year-old, graduated from my college and got a very good job, very happy with the new government. I think the 40, 50 years old people at that time also took risks and become very successful. But the 70 years old over, maybe they are afraid to move on. Maybe they move to Singapore, America, Australia, if they had money. And in 1998, the same again. We had change of government. We had different system, reformation. And again, same thing repeated. It's an evolution again. Now it's 2023. It's another 25 years from 1998. So perhaps we should expect also a kind of evolution. So if this is the thing, is it bad or good? I think if we look at the growth of Indonesia since 1950 up to now, it's always gone up. Although there is a cycle of up and down, but it's always gone up. Yeah. Of course, it's not as fast as Singapore, because Singapore, I think, is much easier in terms of the size. Singapore is a middle-sized town in China, right? So it's with also one party, with the strong leadership of Mr. Lee Kuan Yew at that time. It's been successful, which we can copy-paste. Mr. Lee Kuan Yew's book, From the Third to First World, is a very good book, which we use it in JABABEKA as our Bible. How to build a new city, how to make the people who work there have got a strong ownership, like what Singapore did by introducing NTUC. Everybody had shares in NTUC, CPF system and so on. And then come the digital technology, come the internet and so on. So we have to be able to embrace that one in many areas in small cities, but we have to be able to talk with the Bupati, the mayor in Indonesia. So maybe for our foreign audience, I think they need to understand that Indonesia has got more than 17,000 islands. So it is a challenge, but it's also an opportunity to do not only the digitalization, but also many kind of industry. And also, we have 514 mayors, if not already more today, because every day there is a new mayor and also new governor maybe. So this is a very good challenge and also a good information for investors to understand this. Because the power now is not with central government. The power actually is the regional government. So when you come to Indonesia, you need to understand this. Talk to Sueb and Sakrin. Then we can join our President Estate Club. Then you get all access to technology, information, and also the networking with whoever you want, with the Bupati, governor, or the central government. So to me, Indonesia is becoming slowly like maybe United States 100 years ago. Yeah. But of course, we are lag behind in terms of the technology, capital, and so on. But we are blessed by strong natural resources. Yeah. That's why outside big cities, if there is economic turmoil, the people are okay. As far as it is about food and clothing and roof and so on. But big cities is a problem. But we need to build big cities. We need to build cities because the young people want urbanization. And this is, I think, the potential for digitalization. Indonesia alone cannot do it. I think we need a lot of foreign investors to come. And our basic ideology, Pancasila and so on, support this thing. So I have every confidence that the political situation in Indonesia is getting better and better, although there is always a hiccup somewhere, maybe every 25 years. But I think this is okay if you are a long-term player. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pak Darmono, for that, I think, very thought-provoking opening in terms of how Indonesia can go forward, especially in its regionalization. As you rightly said, Pak, we go through evolutions every 25 years. And I think the current system came about following the 1998 Reformasi, where we went from a centralized government and a centralized economy to a decentralized system and a decentralized economy. And that has actually allowed many of the regions to grow because they've managed to retain their revenues, they've been allowed to invest back into their economies. And hopefully, I think to a certain extent also retain some of their local talent. Maybe if I can now invite Pak Reza. Pak Reza is from the Ministry of Trade. He's the Pak Reza is the Director of Interregional Negotiations and International Organizations. I think, Pak Reza, if you don't mind, talk a little bit about how do you see trade movements within the provinces of Indonesia as you grow? Because I think what's happening is, of course, in the past everything used to come to Jakarta. Whether it was goods or transportation, Jakarta was like the magnet. But now you see regional growth. And I think that part of that has also been because of investments in infrastructure in the regions, ports, airports. Do you see the regional trade movement growing between provinces where there is more trade within intra-regional trade? And how does digitalization impact that? Do you think there's greater digitalization in the trade itself within the regions?
Thank you. First of all, I just would like to thank you for Indonesian Economic Forum. I would like to say that my minister, Pak Zulkifli Hasan, very sorry not able to come here, as well as my DG, Mr. Jatmiko Briswicaksono. But again, first appreciate what the Indonesia Economic Forum does. Yeah, I think this is really important. And second, would like to appreciate as well what Pak Darmono has mentioned. You have talked about a lot of things that is very important for Indonesia. My point of view is that Indonesia is the biggest country in the Southeast Asia. We have, again, Pak Darmono mentioned 17,000 islands to 70 million people, internet growing faster, things like that. Of course, that related to trade, Pak. I mean, trade is the engine of growth. And if you can see that, not only export, but Indonesia is worried about import as well. I mean, I'm not saying that import is bad, no. But we have 27 million people. And now, because of the geopolitical tension, war in Ukraine, make it the price of food, the price of energy, things like that increase. And in response to your question, of course, again, trade is really important because trade is part of our sort of economic growth. And if we see that now, yeah, honestly to say that only Java now concentrate on trade, yeah. And talking about digitalization, I do agree with Sachin mentioned that this is unleashing something. Unleashing it means that in a positive way, not in a negative way. You said dragon before. So again, we have potential actually. This is my colleague from Populis. You have a lot of data, maybe you can mention it. But the things about the institution, in my point of view, if we refer to the book by the Acemoglu, I forgot it. Why country fail and why country rich, why country very low in economic growth is because of two things. Politics and economic related to institutions. So the problem in Indonesia is institution, I believe, but this is just my point of view. So if you have the good institution, it going to the politics and going to the economic. I just refer to the book by, again, Professor Acemoglu. Yeah? You can read that. I mean, the professor argued that the institution is very important. And also I refer to Pak Darmono mentioned that, actually Indonesia have been blessed by natural resources. So, yeah, honestly to say that what we export only palm oil and coal. Yeah, this we can do anything with that. But if we can downstreaming, again, I do agree with Pak Darmono mentioned about to strengthen industrial estate, to strengthen industry manufacturing, because like country in Africa, a lot of natural resources, but they are still poverty, That if we compare to Singapore, Japan, they don't have natural resources, but they are rich. So the problem is, I believe, institution. Again, sorry to say that maybe corruption, things like that, to make this institution in Indonesia is not, maybe not revolutionary, you said evolution, ya Pak, ya. Yeah. And talking about digitalization in terms of the international trade, actually, this have been discussed intensively. Because when we talk about digitalization, of course, there are opportunities and challenges. The challenges is literacy, the digital divide. Indonesia, we don't have any technology, human capital. If there is corruption, institution bad, human capital, so yeah, you name it. And then the infrastructure as well, and education. So how many percentage of our GDP are related to education? Education is also important. I just copy what Pak Darmono mentioned. And in international trade, what we have doing about digitalization is to support small, medium enterprises, Pak, to get access to the international market, make them able to export, to get revenue for the country. And again, that in international relation, for example, in WTO, there is an issue about custom duty on electronics transmission. This is related to digitalization. What we want to do that if we import something from Netflix, there should be a tax. But most developed countries said, please don't put tax. So this is the issue, yeah. But again, it depends on Indonesia. If we want to join, we are not ready. But if we don't do anything, other country will move forward. So my conclusion is just, digitalization is really important. Again, not only for business, but to increase Indonesia competitiveness. Again, we should become a tiger, 270 million. If good institution, I mentioned many times about institution because institution is the key. And also we use the international trade, investment again. How come people can come if the regulation is not, always changed? So I think we need to reform and strengthen by doing digitalization. And last but not least, that Indonesia has a proposal now to become Indonesia Emas, Indonesia Gold in 2045. So I don't know how to achieve this, but if we have good institutions, technology, human capital, infrastructure, things like that, it becomes Indonesia prosper in the future. But once again, thank you so much for inviting us. I do appreciate this is the very good topic. Digitalization is very beneficial for us. I stop here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pak Reza, for that. I think trade, especially within the regions, as you mentioned, is very critical, and trade is really the engine of growth. If you look at the regions in Indonesia, especially those who are a bit further away from Java and further away from the big cities, if we look at what kind of industries are in those regions, you find a couple of industries, either agriculture, whether they are growing agricultural food or what we call things like rubber, cocoa, right? And of course, fisheries. Fisheries is a very big part of Indonesia's economy. But the irony or the paradox is most fishermen are very poor, right? And then most of the farmers are also very poor. The question now is how can digitalization impact this part of the economy? And how do we lift them, right? One of the things, I think there are some companies, especially agri-tech companies, that are providing information and data on apps to these farmers, to these fishermen, in terms of giving them real live market information on the pricing, and allowing them to actually trade and sell their products at the right price. And I think that's where digitalization really will have an impact in the regions and allow these regions to also rise up. And I think more importantly, it improves productivity, right? Because now you have data and you have more knowledge and you can understand when to farm, when to price your harvest and stuff like that. So I'm throwing this open to the floor now in terms of you have any ideas, any thoughts, any questions, either for Pak Darmono or for Pak Reza. Of course, we also have Dr. Revli here, who will later on have a presentation on IKN and the growth of cities and how Indonesia is also moving towards building new, what we would call digitalized cities, right? And I think that is critical too. While we focus on existing cities and how to digitalize them, there is also an opportunity to build new cities with ground up. Of course, that will require a lot more capital and a lot more brain power. But I think it's an interesting, what would you call it, endeavor that Indonesia is undertaking in that sense, because that will also foster a lot of what I would call local tech innovation for local use in that sense. It's not always going to be importing innovation. So with that, if there are any questions, yes, Dr. Bayu. Can we have a mic?
Thank you. I think this is a very good topic because we know, like Pak Darmono said, Indonesia consisted of 17,000 islands, and it's not only Jakarta, it's not only Java, and also the comments of the Pak Reza from Perdagangan, which is very true about the institution. So I don't know, I mean, there are so many things that we talk about this unleashing the power of digitalizations for Indonesia, and depends on which actors that we want to address to. If we talk about governments, we see also almost, not almost, certainly all ministries and what do you call it, kalau KL itu L-nya apa ya? Yeah, lembaga, but what is in the English? all the KL, yeah, ministry and lembagas, talking about digitalization, talking about digital transformations. They have initiatives. There, especially a few years ago, I was invited in so many forums by so many ministers talking about how to make what do you call it, incubations for the digital entrepreneurs, and they're talking about the same things, the same topic with so many ministries, and they interestingly they don't talk each other. So they have their forum and they have their own initiative, and they're not connected to each other. So I agree with Pak Darmono that we need to have a plan and institutions as well, as Pak Reza said. So I guess if we want to summarize what the government have to do is, number one, we should have the commitment of the top management, of the top people, top political leaders. I mean, talking about commitment, Indonesia has so many priorities competing to each other's, yeah, poverty and so many things. But again, digitalization may be taking a longer time to achieve those other goals, but this is actually the right way to achieve all the goals with digitalizations. So number one is the commitment of the political leaders. Number two is also how to gather as many as possible supports from all people, including the business people, the academia, on all the media, all the people participations. But then that comes to which roles that they have to play. Then Indonesia have to, lay down a blueprint of how Indonesia wants to do the digital transformations. Otherwise, all the initiatives are overlap. There are things that nobody does, yeah, and many things. And people don't know what role should I play, and everybody try to play others' role and forgetting their own roles. So it's very important to have a blueprint of how Indonesia wants to do the digital transformation. Actually, Pak Jokowi on the October 2020 has already mentioned about the 5 steps to accelerate digital transformations. And one of it is to create the blueprint of digital transformation in all sectors, especially the critical sectors. But then the sectors can, up to now, I never seen of any KL have the blueprint of digital transformation, by the way, including the Ministry of Education. And talking about all sectors can make their blueprint of digital transformation, that should be part of the national blueprint of digital transformation. So if we have already laid down the digital blueprint, the digital transformation blueprint, then there comes the next step is the implementations and the improvements. I think sounds maybe, I don't know, it sounds too high or not, but I think it's very important with the new president coming in. I think it's important to put this because we all talk about how important digital is, but in reality, we don't put it as the plan as important as it could be. Yeah, so there's no plan. I would say there's no plan, there's no comprehensive plan of how we together should tackle this digital transformation. Thank you.
Yes, Punam, you wanted to add to that?
Thank you. You know, I hear you when you say farmers and when you talk about fishermen. And I also hear Pa Darmono when he talks about 510 internet users in China, where smartphone penetration in China. Whereas in Indonesia, we have over 200 million smartphones in a population of 270 million. So the penetration of smartphones is much higher. So that's a good thing. And that's something that we can leverage on. And we've also established that Indonesia, we are a population for consumption of digital products, digital information. We like TikTok, we like Instagram, we like YouTube. So and this is just thinking aloud, but what if we could take this and leverage it to provide information to the farmers, to the fisher folks, have it available to them knowledge that they can use. So what is the right time to plant? What is the right fertilizer to use? Where is the best place to fish? Or what are the regulations surrounding it? Why not leverage what we have to provide information to the people who need it most? Using what we have, like the smartphone penetration across the 17,000 plus islands. So it's just thinking aloud and it's just food for thought.
Well, yeah, thank you very much for that. I think that's exactly what we are talking about, right? We don't lack infrastructure in that sense. And in fact, with smartphones, you can access the internet just about anywhere as you can get a signal. But the question is, what are we using that for? Are we using it for productive use, or are we just consuming stuff that is not productive? Maybe entertainment, yes, but it's not really productive in that sense, yeah? And we're not creating enough content you need the content to be pushed out on the platform. So we have the platforms, but we don't have content that is of use to these communities and which will help with our digitalization. So I think those are some of the key challenges that we face. So when you say, for example, who will provide this information? Is it the private sector? Is it maybe in partnership with the Ministry of Trade, Reza? Do you see this as something that the ministry could partner with, one of the digital players or even a startup, to fund it, to say, okay, can we, because I don't see that being channeled. It's like, okay, entrepreneurs have a great idea, you go get capital and you find something. But it's not being channeled. You say, okay, this is what we want. and we'll fund it. We can run it, drive it, Maybe Darmono and then maybe Reza, comment on that.
Yeah, it's actually it's a very good, very good comment for that one. But we have to understand the cultural situation here. Now, for example, 30 years ago, I was asked to develop Tanjung Lesung Resort in the Sunda Strait. It's 180 kilometers from Jakarta. And the message was the people in that Kabupaten, Pandeglang, was poor. So please help by building a new economic zones based on tourism, maybe later on maritime. So I went there and I saw a couple with 11 children running around under the palm trees or the coconut trees. So I thought, well, they were poor, why they have 11 children? So I asked the man, why do you have 11 children? I didn't say that we are poor, why you have 11 children? And he said, well, one coconut tree can feed one child. I have thousands of coconut trees. So they are not poor, right? Then I go to the fishing village. And I saw one fisherman with a lot of fish on the boat. I said, can I buy? And I demonstratively show several 100,000 rupiah, right? And said, no, this is not for sale. You need fish? Please take as much as you want. So who needs who? Huh? Yeah. So that is Indonesia. Many people misunderstand the situation. Do we want to introduce digitalization? We are happy. But what is the problem when we started to develop is healthcare and education. Yes, we are poor in terms of healthcare and education, but not poor in terms of food, roof, because Indonesia is through the year about 20 to 30 centigrade. No air condition, no heaters needed. These simple clothes is enough. Simple roof is enough for these people who are used to it. But when we go to cities, that is when the problems start to come. So with understanding of that one, then we have to approach in a very smart way. We cannot suddenly generalize the whole things. We cannot just be like China, where we have severe weather, severe condition. We don't. But of course, in the cities, like I mentioned before, our president said, the most poverty of existing is in big cities, especially Jakarta. This is the one where we need to be digitalized. This is the place where we need to improve the infrastructure. We don't have to do it actually all the time. We don't have the money, but we have natural resources. And also, do the people, all the people are ready to welcome modernization. There is a Badui village in Banten province. Have you heard of the Badui village? 40 families live there. They reject all modern conveniences. You bring cell phone there, you try to photograph, no. They don't want. And they just rub your, they rub it and suddenly all the pictures gone. Oh, yeah. They have the magic or the power for this one. So they do not want what they call modernization. They are happy. They live over 100 years old. They walk barefooted. So this is just one example. I think once we understand that one, then we can plan ahead what to do. Not just the whole area, we have to do it very fast like China. Indonesia actually is very different. Certain areas are very poor. Certain areas need very quickly to improve the healthcare, the education. But basically, that is what is needed. Education and healthcare. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pa. So I think that the message from that, of course, is that it's not a one-fit-all solution. You really have to be more surgical and look at different areas with different solutions, yeah? Pa Reza, would you want to add to that? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think I do agree with Pak Darmono mentioned about China. I think the rise of China is undoubtedly, yes. Before in the Cold War between US and Russia. But now in the last 2 decades, we can see that China is growing very faster and significantly. And there are two giants right now. So there are the geopolitical situation or contour are different right now. So there are some blocks, things like that. But back to the, I just want to short respond that. I think, yeah, I mean, there should be any PPP, a three-piece partnership between private and government. But of course, there are pros and cons on that. And I mean, there are some sectors that are closed, for example. So now, as long as I know, the government of Indonesia just issued the investment strategic hillarizations. Yeah. So we open investment for 3 main things like minerals, like you said, fishery, agricultures, and the others. So we have a 21 sector, if I'm not mistaken. So I do believe that there should be a great collaboration, pentahelix, not only government and private sector, but also academia, things like that to make Indonesia prosper using digitalization. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak. Nalin, you wanted to add something? Can we have a mic?
Thank you, Shoaib. I've heard Pa Darmono earlier also in previous editions of Indonesia Economic Forum. Your life and your work is a true inspiration. I have lived in Jakarta in Indonesia for 5-6 years. I wish the country I come from had leaders like you 30 years ago, who have clarity, and your explanation of poverty was very apt, because those of us who have come from India, we are smiling within ourselves when we would discuss your problems. Poverty. There's no visible poverty here. Those of you who have gone to India, you will know what is poverty. Corruption. Come to India, I'll show you what is corruption. So while we compare ourselves to the best, like Singapore, etc., to have perspective, we must appreciate not only the things that are wrong, but what we have done right. We have done more things right than wrong. Hence, we are able to have a discussion like this in an open forum. So I just wanted to bring that perspective. And I wish there were more leaders like you in where I come from, the 20, 30 years ago.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I think it's all relative, right? How poor, how rich. But I think overall, you do want to see progress, Darmono. I mean, progress of the nation, progress of the people. I think most importantly is, of course, Indonesia's demographic dividend is always touted as something that a country can benefit from. But again, if we don't create enough meaningful jobs for them, if we don't give them hope for a better life, I think while, yes, you know, we enjoy, in a sense, you know, great weather all year round, and, you know, you throw something on the ground, it will grow. You do want meaningful jobs, and you do want economic progress too. I think that's really the key for Indonesia, right? How do you continue on that trajectory? Like you said, you know, it always grows up, but of course there may be cycles. But with that growth, I think one of the key things, of course, is equity, right? Equity growth, in the sense that, you know, you don't want growth only at the top level. You also want, well, not growth, prosperity also from the ground up, right? You want more people to be able to afford, you know, for the lack of a better word, more material things, right? A more comfortable living. I mean, yes, you could live, what you call it, very basic, but you would wish for them to have electricity, running water, as you mentioned, access to healthcare, access to education. And I think those are the challenges. And the question is, how can digitalization accelerate that, right? So it's going up, yes, but how can digitalization accelerate and help the country move forward and, you know, improve productivity, really? Because that's, again, one of the key, right? Our workers, our economy has to be more productive. And I think China has shown the way in that sense, where productivity has just jumped quite by leaps and bounds, you know? Yeah. Sachin, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I had a question for Pa Darmono. I'm very inspired by your book, Building a Ship While Sailing. And I have a question in that context. And it's also a little bit related to digitalization. I was doing the math the other day when I first realized about 2 years ago, how big Indonesia really is, which is the 416 Kabupaten. And I started thinking to myself, I think there is no human being who has been to all the 416 Kabupatens. Because I was trying to do the math. What would it take? Let's say I get on the road and I spend one day in every Kabupaten. And I come back. It'll take me 2 years to come back. After going around the whole country and then crossing an island, then going Kabupaten by Kabupaten, then crossing another island, Kabupaten by Kabupaten. By the time I come back, it's 2 or 3 years. So it's that big. I mean, the size of Indonesia is mind-boggling. But I feel that digitalization is one way to reach everywhere in one shot because you can't do it physically. Do you have any advice that if everybody here wanted to go and really reach into Indonesia using your philosophy of building a ship by sailing, do you have any words of advice that you think we could listen to? How can we actually cover all of Indonesia? I'm not saying we have to go and change everybody, but I'm just saying just to be there and participate and be a part of every part of Indonesia. Is there any thoughts you have? Because I know you do have 100 cities program and several things you have thought of scale before. That's it, Pa.
Yeah, it's not an easy question, really. But I was thinking that what is actually our strength, Indonesian strength? We have beautiful nature. We have 150 more volcanoes, right? And 300 1,000 kilometers of beaches and so on. Just this actually is our strength, which we do not need to do very much in terms of cultivating or exploiting the earth. But we can make this become attraction for people to come to Indonesia. And then we will not lose our mining, we will not lose, can beautify our place. So this is something which I think not only government, I think also the society must try to improve their condition, that one, trying to teach the people around our area how we can become more hospitable. Because what is tourism? Tourism is about when we decide to go into a tour, we prepare the time, we prepare the budget, and we want to be entertained. So if I go for holiday, say for 10 days, I prepared so much money. But then if I go to a certain place, I could not spend the money, I feel very bad. Yeah. And then also, if the place is not healthy, yes, this is also something which we don't want to continue staying there. So that is number one. And then we want to be entertained, sometimes to be fooled. We are happy to be fooled, right? With all the funny stories and so on. So that is tourism, which we have a lot of stories in Indonesia, to legend and so on to tell. But what is lacking again is the education side. So we have many already universities. We have many pesantren in Indonesia. So the institution are already there. What it needs is how we can improve the system, the education system, or the curriculum through online digitalization. And education is the longest investment, right? We should not be impatient. We have to be, we have to accept the thing. So this is where I was very happy when Pak Jokowi became president. He's from Solo. You know, in Solo we have this all alon-alon asal kelakon, which means slow but sure, right? But every president has got his own ambition, right? When they look at China, oh, they go so fast. Within 40 years, they become prosperous. We also want to follow. Right? But what is prosperous in China possibly is not what Indonesian people want. It's a different type of prosperity, what we need. So this needs a lot of discussion like this. We need to teach our children to read more books.
although most of Indonesians like to watch, like to listen rather than to read books. So this is, again, a basic back to education. So the unleashing this digitalization, as you said, is making the dragon suddenly, right? So there are many bad things in digitalization, negative videos and so on, which is a bad education. So how to do that, to do this, so to overcome this one. So in my book, I mentioned about that possibly we need like one country, two systems. And in Pancasila, we have the ideology of the 5 principles, which is paradox in a way. We have one here is social justice, which guaranteeing the public that all the basic needs will be affordable, which is a good stuff. It's a socialist system. But we also have human right, democracy, which is actually the basic of capitalism, which both are embraced in our ideology. But in terms of transforming into economy, there has been no book about it. There has been no guidance. So if we can have those separation of this economic zone is for competition, to fight with any countries that we have to be able to compete. But when in the box socialism, it's about how to make people in general, they can survive, right? So this two system, we possibly can apply step by step. The dream of having 100 special economic zone is great, but it has to be done. If it's not reached within a period of 5 years or 10 years government, let's do it for the next 25 years. To reach $7 trillion GDP in 2045, we need 8% economic growth a year. Okay, it's a hiccup, sometimes 5%, sometimes 10%, it's fine. Yeah. But we need this kind of continuity. So Pancasila and all the, I think is guaranteeing that is the possibility. So just be patient, Sarah. And accept, right? Because all religion is teaching people to be acceptance, right? Eventually, we are going to die anyway, right? We were born with nothing, we die also with nothing. So we just to accept. So the fundamental teaching on also character building and also morality is very important. You can be very clever, you can be very knowledgeable, you can be very skillful, but if you have a bad fundamental character-wise, then where are we going? Then money become our God. So it is another education which we need to. So those are on my 3 books actually. If you want to read them, thank you.
Thank you very much for the timely reminder that while we chase growth and prosperity, we need to balance it with moral ethics. And I like your philosophy part in terms of patience. Yeah, but I think all those who come to Indonesia learn patience very fast. Just go on the roads and you will learn patience. Yeah. We have 2 presentations with us this afternoon. Maybe I can invite Dr. Revli and then Brian after that to do your presentation. So this is a very a special treat for us this afternoon because Dr. Revli Orelius is from, he's going to do a presentation on IKN. Of course, it's a hot topic at the moment in terms of the new capital. But it's very interesting because he's really going to talk a little bit about how the private sector and private investors can play a role in the development of Indonesia's new capital. So, and I think he has some excellent slides and give us a great idea of the progress made so far and how it's going to be achieved going forward. So, Dr. Revli, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Okay, I think before the slide, I want to show the 2 video presentation. First about the President Palace. And then another one, connectivity, international hub, what is very important to ASEAN Pacific Rim, about the trading and everything by this session. The first video about the new palace for the new capital. Is that video? Yeah. This is the design by Mr. Nyoman Nuarte. The president office already 52% under development. In August 2024, expect the first inauguration, the independent celebration will be held in this new capital. Building area just 20 to 25 from the location around. Smart city. %100% local content for the sayap Garuda, yeah, the wing of the Garuda. For the future, it is the integrated office, all interactive in the very nice palace. Nyoman Nuarte, the artist from the Garuda Wisnu Kencana in Denpasar. It's very productive for the okay, and another one is the connectivity about the logistic.
Indonesian government, to be more specific, the North Sulawesi province is developing a Bitung Special Economic Zone with total area of 534 hectares, located 36
North
kilometers
Sulawesi.
from Manado City, 8 kilometers from the Bitung Seaport, and 30 kilometers from Samratulangi International Airport. Special Economic Zone Bitung is considered by the government to have a strategic location to connect various countries in Asia Pacific.
very
The main
close
activities
to
to be
anywhere.
developed are the fish processing industry, marine products, the coconut processing industry, and the pharmaceutical industry. Meanwhile, the supporting activities of special economic Bitung are logistic industry, method-based industry, and housing industry. Special Economic Zone Bitung will be supported by important infrastructures, including the development of the Bitung port into an international hub port, and the Manado-Bitung toll road, which has reached 70% of the development. The center,
Right now
the
already
potential, and the
finished
future
toll
port
road.
of Bitung Special
Already
Economic
done.
Zone as a center that connects the east and the west of Indonesia, as well as the world. Bitung as a natural port has a minimum depth of 18 low water spring, about 500 sea miles distant from the international shipping line, and able to operate in any weathers. Bitung is also potential to ecotourism development as it is close to strategic touristic areas that are already widely known internationally. Lembeh Strait, the mark diving capital of the world, and the place to see a myriad of exotic underwater creatures. Bunaken Island, the most peaceful coral garden in the world. The last but not least, Likupang that has been decided as Indonesia's super priority destinations and is recognized having the potential to be the new Bali in the country.
Yeah, this is the connectivity to support for the new capital in Kalimantan, Nusantara. Okay, I want to continue. Nawacita is the institute, the non-government organization. Since 2014, we prepare to Nusantara, Lembaga Kajian Nusantara. But after meet to Pak Jokowi, the governor in DKI, he advised to change the name to Nawacita. And then we have the 9 program about the Nawacita. Nine program, the Nawacita is focused about the government of the Pak Jokowi for the second time, and then the first time and the second time, the already 9 years still ongoing or about the Nawacita program. That is the connectivity, the new capital to Kalimantan is Kalimantan in very close to central 0 point to northern Indonesia, northern southern to Indonesia, and eastern and western. This is 0 point. This is 0 point, original 0 point for Indonesia. Yeah, this is the cluster, the zone of the kawasan inti pemerintah, the core government area. And then right now already over 50 to 55% progress on the development of the president office. Yeah, proposed for the smart city, for the new capital. It's very important about the digitalization. I think it's very important to this program for the smart city to easily for the connectivity every office in the new capital. No need the high-rise building, but one complex for the all ministry office. Yeah, just to remind about the acceleration about for the program of the digitalization program for the new capital. Yeah, I think session this right now is very matching about our session. This topic, the digitalization about the new capital. This the scheme of funding. 20% government budget, and then the triple P private partnership program for 60% with the government guarantee. The triple P is with the government guarantee 60%. And then another 20% business to business without government guarantee. It's very important to know the scheme of funding, 20% by government, and then 60% by private sector, triple P with government guarantee. And then another 20% business to business, B2B, without government guarantee. It's very important to knowing. Total investment portfolio about 35 billion. But I discussed, Mr. Chairul, we can see for the next to multiple, maybe 2 times to 3 times for the portfolio investment. It's very important. Very example, if we develop the port service, and then will be to shipping company, to port service, handling service, and another. That is the connectivity about the Eastern Indonesia, because right now all centralized in Java, and then for the next must be ready to show the another to the Kalimantan. Yeah. This is the connectivity about the sea transportation. Why must be Bitung? Long time ago, I still go to Singapore, and then all cargo from to Indonesia must be via Singapore. Latest 90% via Singapore. We can see how to decrease the cost, the unit cost. No need to transit, no need feeder to Singapore, but we can directly to another port in the northern area, Pacific area, and so on. Feeder service, warehouse service, many costs will be decreased in very potential to develop about the hub international. Yeah, this is the advantage, the Bitung International Hub Port to centralize many industry from the Eastern Indonesia, especially for the tuna fish is very big potential. Forestry and agriculture, many commodity from East Indonesia or Central Indonesia to centralize in Bitung Port. to produce and then to transfer to the another country directly from Bitung. Okay, I think this very important about the slide supporting about the IKN, the new capital for the next step. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Revli. I think that's an interesting presentation. So it's not just the new capital, but also the supporting cities around it, which I think is part of the vision to really develop Eastern Indonesia in that sense. Are there any questions from the presentation for Dr. Revli? Yes, sir.
Hello. This was very fascinating for me because, I do a lot of, I'm a lawyer, transactional lawyer, and one of the areas that I focus on is infrastructure projects. And in the early days of liberalization in India, I've had the pleasure of advising on some of the key infrastructure projects there, including the first greenfield PPP international project, airport project in India, which was Hyderabad International Airport project, and a host of seaport projects as well, which were developed. So this is personally very fascinating to me that, you're considering the approach of completely relocating a national capital. I mean, that's quite incredible and amazing. So I should first congratulate you on the boldness of the move, right? I mean, it's a pretty big move. So having said that, I just had a couple of very, fundamental questions to understand how it will be done. So the first question I have is, what is the population strategy for the city? Obviously, one stream will come from government because government is moving there. So everybody who's part of, the government team will be there. I'm presuming there'll be, accommodation which is to be provided, etc. But the key is, how do you get other parts of the population to move there? I mean, even if you move some parts of the industry, it's going to be a pretty long drawn and ambitious project to repopulate. I can't think of, in recent times, any other comparable example. I mean, Malaysia relocated the capital, but that's more like a suburb than, such a completely faraway place, right? So this is very fascinating to me. That's one question. The second question is more around, I saw a lot of talk about the development around setting up the new port, which is, I think, a great idea because, to reduce dependency on Singapore and, overall logistics cost. All that makes sense. Similarly, I was wondering, is there any thought to build a new airport, greenfield airport there in the same zone? Because obviously, that's the other thing that's going to affect the population's keenness to move is, are they able to get in and get out easily, especially in a country like Indonesia? So I'd love to hear your answers to that.
Okay. First about maybe about the population, yeah. We think together about the bonus demography. It's very important for the next. And then we not only develop the new capital, but must be integrated everything supporting about the new capital project. I think Mr. Ramon is very clear about the industrial estate, the real estate. Automatically will be request moving the every go to new capital. We need the education. We need the hospitality. We need the anymore. This the multiplier effect about without the total investment portfolio like I talked. Multiple maybe we minimum 2 times from 35 billion and then all investment to 70 billion. The bonus demography must be prepared right now about the 5 and the 10 years the next. So the second question about the connectivity, why must be transit feeder to Singapore? It's very, very expensive. I have discussed this, the Port Singapore Authority a long time ago, and then the PSA want to contribute how to develop the international hub in Bitung. Bitung is natural port. No need to, because the natural is already deep. Very big potential to decrease the cost. The unit cost, every industrial will be get not only develop the port service, but must be integrated the special economic zone. Like this.
Sure, sure. Go ahead, Pak.
Can I help, Pak?
Thank you. Welcome.
Well, I think it's a question I have heard also many times of this. But let me give my perception. I'm a city developer. I developed Cikarang from nothing 34 years ago. Now become a city with complete ecosystem, 1 million population, more than 2,000 factories from 34 countries, over 100,000 houses, 25 hospitals, 25 hotels, everything we have, university, dry port, golf course, we have everything there for 34 years. Now, this idea of a new capital city is a very good one. The president also said it may take 20 years, 30 years. It's not an immediate one. But of course, he had to sell it that it's going to be fast. 17th of August, the palace will be ready. So we have to see it from a political perspective and also from commercial perspective. Don't take it everything in one terms. So if we look at the wish of the president, this is a very good hope for the people. That Jakarta is congested. It has to be moved to that place. So it's a political aspect. It's a popular gesture. We look into the commercial side now. If I were asked how to develop this one, then I would say, what kind of regulation would you give me? Because a city, as you said, how we can bring the people outside the government people to move there. Government people can be forced to go because they are employees. But ordinary people, if we have to go there, there have this sweetener. Why we must go there? If you want to attract the ants to come, there has to be sugar there. So what do we need to move there? Now, Java is overpopulated. And also a lot of young people will find difficulty to get jobs, especially with the digitalization. So this is an opportunity for government actually to say, if you move to this capital city, government will build public housing. And it would be much better than the public housing in Jakarta. It has to be, right? And it's give them a place that not to buy, but to rent, like Singapore, right? Singapore, how many years? Yeah, the people 99 years. 99 years rent. Government build this one. It's owned by government. Now, did Singapore government lose or make money from building public housing? Making money, right? Millions. So, yeah, but long terms, not immediate. So this is what the government must build. Public housing first. Then we can move 100,000 young people to go there.
from high school leavers, Pak. Train them there, ready for employment when industry come. Now, what kind of industry can we attract to Kalimantan? Now, Indonesia selling point, or my selling point in industry land, always cheap land, cheap laborers. This is our competitive edge. We don't talk about technology and so on. We check about cheap labor, cheap land. People come. So if we move the young people to go there, then we provide housing, education, train them, not in a university, just to be competent in what? In welding, in something special, which if they are trained for 3 months, they will be ready to work. And also give them some sort of military training, like in Singapore. No need for 2 years, just for 1 month. So they become disciplined, they are ready. Then if I were manufacturing companies, I said, oh, this is good. I've got cheap laborers there and competent. And cost, well, because they are still students, so we don't have to pay with the minimum wage. We give them pocket money. So it will be cheap laborers. And no union allowed there. But then companies will come, textile companies, garment, shoes factories who need cheap laborers. And we will. So this is the beginning of creating jobs there. There will be population. Then the rest will come because they need entertainment, right? So we can sell shop houses. So now private sector will come. They will buy land, building shop houses. Shop houses for what? For making, for opening shops for restaurants, barber shop, massage, whatever. This can also become a tourist attraction. Like if you go to Shenzhen 40 years ago, the young people are there. They sell everything fake. You can buy Rolex, you can buy Gucci, you can buy Hermes, everything made in China at maybe 1% of the normal price. So this will create industry, creative industry. So that is the kind of thing. How long it will take? Maybe 20 years, maybe 30 years. But it's possible. Why? Because we have a lot of young people. You said the bonus demographic. But we cannot just let them then just apply for a job. They have to be trained. And this bonus demographic, sorry to say, maybe not always clever. Yeah. So they don't need to be taught like in the university with so many subjects. Just specific use, more skill. What do we want to do? We ask the manufacturer, what do you want? We will tailor-make the education. So that way then is possible. So government now started by building first infrastructure, the palace, right? So this is to showcase that government is serious about it. And then private sector has been invited also to do something there. So already a group of my friends, private sector, the property developers, already agreed to do. This is a social one, not commercial. I think they go it because the president asked and they want to show they love this country, they want to do something. So it's beginning to do that. I think they are not stupid either. I think they will possibly build shop houses, golf course, university, which will be needed there. So this is the group of the private sector who love this country, who become rich in Jakarta, and they want to do something for the country. Then we can attract the foreign investors to come. That would be the later on. So this, I think, is the spirit of the president. So
I also asked about, is there any plan to build a new airport over there?
Sorry?
Yeah. Is there a plan to build, as a part of this whole scheme, is there a part, as a part of it, is there a plan to build a new greenfield airport?
I think that's all undergoing. But
Yeah.
now, the basic infrastructure of a new city, or especially for industrial, there are 7 basic infrastructure and now being built. First is harbor. Number 2 is airport. Number 3 is toll road to the city from the harbor airport. This is also being built. Then electricity, then gas, internet, and then water. Water, actually not enough water now, but there is also about 100 kilometers away. So there will be built tunnel to this place, dam. So water will be plentiful. Electricity, no problem in Kalimantan. Not immediately, but step by step. So that's why the spend is I am talking about 20 to 30 years. Yeah. It wouldn't be like what it in Kuala Lumpur.
Oh, Putrajaya.
Putrajaya. We already built Putrajaya around Jakarta. PSD, JABABEKA, Kapuk, they are all like Putrajaya. But it doesn't solve the problem because it's become dominatory town.
It's like a suburb.
Yeah,
Putrajaya
it's
is
a
virtually like a suburb.
Yeah, suburb. But this one in Kalimantan is completely different. And I think then every governor, every mayor should build also their own capital city, new one, new cities. So we need example from the central government to build this one first. If it takes 100 years, so what? It's a large country, it's a young country, only 78 years old. Yeah? And I remember President Sukarno, our founding father, he said, my country will live for 8,000 years. Yeah, so that is the spirit. So I think that has to be seen from this perspective.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Darmono.
Yes, I think one last question before we have a quick coffee break and stretch our legs a little bit. Yes, Ashish.
So it's
Go ahead.
not a question, it's more of what Pak Darmono said. I want to give two other examples of recent cities, not so recent, but cities that we are aware of, and totally opposite when it comes to the nature of the countries. So one is Canberra in Australia, which is a relatively new city. And it has almost a population of 500,000, which is about 20% of Australia's population. So that's a relatively new, successfully developed city. The other one is Naypyidaw in Myanmar. Now, that city, I mean, in spite of all the embargoes and everything that Myanmar faces from the US, it still has a population of almost 925,000, almost 1 million people. So those are two classic examples of newer cities that have been developed recently. I mean, it's going back in our generation if we look at it that way. I just wanted to sort of add on to what you've said here with other examples. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think what a stimulating discussion.
Yeah.
Do you want to say a few last words?
I think so. Already covered by Pak Darmono. Very fast to Dubai. The fact from JABABEKA already show everything. Dubai from zero to hero, like JABABEKA. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. I think just to wrap up and the session, digitalization is going to continue to I think empower and enable prosperity and growth within Indonesia, especially in the regions. There are many challenges, but I think Pak Darmono very aptly put it. It cannot be a one-shoe-fit-all type solution. We will have to find the right solutions for the right regions and really address what I would call the common good for that region. What does that region require? It cannot be just, Jakarta did this, we'll do it here. So I think that's a very clear insight. And I think from Pak Darmono's experience and in fact wisdom in terms of developing not just Cikarang, but many other special economic zones. I think that's one way to go, where you build the city along with a special economic zone where you attract investments, you attract labor, you attract ideas. Yeah, I'd like to thank Dr. Revli for his presentation on IKN, and I think it's a very ambitious project for Indonesia. I think let's not dance around that, but I think as a country, Indonesia needs such a project to move it forward, where it can bring everyone together and to really show that it will have everything. It's a new capital with new ideas. I think it will attract global ideas and global talent, especially, and I think really inspire Indonesians. I think that's what's going to be required. So thank you very much. Can you please join me in thanking Pak Darmono and Dr. Revli for their wonderful presentation and time today. We'll take a short break. I'll hand it over back to Sachin for the next session.
Thank you. Shoaib, you're still moderating the next session. So you don't get... So we have a 10-15 minute break. Please take a rest and come back here. We have a session on the regional opportunity with Populix, and Populix is going to have a presentation. Immediately after that, we have the Deputy Director General of ASEAN, Satwinder Singh. He's here today to give a keynote on how Indonesia can work within ASEAN. And that session, we're also launching the ASEAN Economic Forum with Ashish here. And we would end the day with sundowner cocktails at the lawn. So please do stay and celebrate with us as we close the end of the Indonesia Economic Forum. One more session to go, and the ASEAN Economic Forum session. Thank you so much, and see you soon in 10 minutes. Bye-bye. Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A warm round of applause for Pa Satwinder Singh, Deputy Secretary of ASEAN. He's here with us today. We get a chance to actually interact with you a little earlier than we planned, which is great because we wanted to spend more time with you. We have also here Brian from Populix, and we have a presentation. And Shoaib is our moderator for this session. But I just wanted to remind you that the reason why Pa Satwinder is here is because the Indonesia Economic Forum is going in a few directions. Last year, we partnered with Poonam Sagar to create the Indonesia-India Business Forum, which is a vertical of how Indonesia and India can work together. We are working with Investor Trust. Pa Primus here is the chief editor of Investor Trust. And we are working with Primus to create more Bahasa Indonesia content related to what IEF has been doing. Pa Primus is our partner for all content related to Bahasa Indonesia in respect to India, ASEAN. All that will be amplified working with Pa Primus and his team. The Investor Trust media is a media for business people at the age of 25 to 40. So the issues are different, the sectors are different, the channels are different. They have TikTok, they have Instagram, they have all these various ways to reach the youth. So it's a very interesting way of how we are combining the interests of ASEAN, IEF, IIBF, and working with the local media to get more narrative out there and understand more about how the young people in Indonesia can interact in Bahasa Indonesia. So that's how we have put this whole thing together. So without much further ado, I'm going to hand over to Shoaib to moderate this current session, which will be both a combination of Populix and directly going on to ASEAN. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sachin, and a warm welcome to His Excellency Satwinder Singh, Deputy Secretary General of ASEAN. A pleasure to have you here. And thank you, all of you, for staying with us and helping us to close the 10th Annual Indonesia Economic Forum with a bang. So thank you so much. We'll go straight into a very interesting presentation by Brian Thur. He's the Vice President of Growth for Populix. I think he has a very interesting presentation on data, right? And data and how we use data to make business decisions. His bio is on the screen, so I won't go much into it. Just to know that he's he's been very involved in this research, and his strategic visions and hands-on approach is instrumental in the growth of Populix. So Brian, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Pa. Okay, it's going to be a short presentation about we're going to previously discuss about digitalizations. So it's going to be a quick one, actually. Sorry. Okay, so for the first slide, these slides show the differentiations between the application and the web access. So based on the survey that we conduct, around 1,772 respondents. So based on the survey, the people or the society, they use mobile apps or applications more for the commercial needs and followed by social media. Meanwhile, if you see, if the web access through their PC or laptop is mostly used for studying or working. And there's also a few across, like they're using for e-commerce and banking. So what makes it interesting though, even though people make more purchase in terms of frequency through the mobile apps, right? However, in terms of the dollar value or the spending size, web access through PC or laptop have a more significant usage. One of the reasons, because of these high value items, which is they're like, the main concern of the people in Indonesia, why they use like PC or laptop to buy like a high purchase product, is because of like cybersecurity. So they want to, they feel safer if they purchase it through laptop or PC. And another reason is like they have a better view of the product, which is it's easier for them to surf the webs and see the product itself. Okay. And then the one thing that interesting, what Pak Reza from the minister before saying, one thing that I want to highlight as well. So shopping on social media has been really, really growing for the past 2 to 3 years. So in general, 4 out of 5 respondents have tried to shop at least once or 3 times through the media platform, mainly from TikTok shops or WhatsApps. If you see, there's a 46% people prefer TikTok shop to purchase. It's almost doubles than WhatsApp or the second position. The reason why, because live shoppings, they likely to have interactions between the buyer and the sellers. Even sometimes the buyer cannot see, even the buyer cannot see the sellers who buy the product, but when the sellers see the people that like live shopping with real human touch, they prefer that and they like it. And then, as you can see as well, from our study, clothing is the main category they purchase. Like clothes, t-shirts, jeans, shirts. Clothing are the main category, which is around 61%, followed by beauty product and F&B. And then on average, people use like spending around $20 US dollar roughly, or around 200,000 rupiah per month. Now, to conclude, what I'm trying to say is like, just to follow the previous discussions, digital economy is growing. Yes, it's getting stronger, it's getting better, but the distribution still uneven. As like Mr. Sob said, like it's only focused more on the major city. Yeah, it's improving in the tier 2 and tier 3 city. Yeah, we can see that, but there's still a lot of like uneven and about the speed and the internet infrastructure. So the reasons like usually, so we need to focus more first on the infrastructure of the high-speed internet, and also another topic that like quite right now, I think yesterday is also talked about a little bit about cybersecurity. So cybersecurity need to be as strong as well. And then later on, if we make that 2 pillars to be our infrastructure and the cybersecurity, then we do believe the uneven distributions can be better solved. That's it for me. Back to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow, very sharp and very sweet. Are there any questions for Brian in terms of what the survey is showing?
Yes. Yes, it is. No, not under the 46%. I think on the slide is the 4% category, I believe. So there's there, Instagram.
Normally, we assume Instagram to be a
This
large
is for
portion.
Indonesia.
Normally, I thought Instagram will be much larger. And WhatsApp, I didn't know was that large. So
Yes,
good
in
insight.
Indonesia, the first category is TikTok.
Yep.
Before the new regulation, right? And then second is WhatsApps. A lot of people buying through WhatsApps. So let's say they see the product through e-commerce, for example. And then after they purchase e-commerce, there's like a WhatsApp, right? So you can directly buy it from the seller through WhatsApps.
But this is the shopping part only, Nalin. It's not the normal social media interaction. Instagram is high. This is only for the shopping part.
I get that. I thought Instagram would be higher. And WhatsApp, I'm completely uneducated on that. So
Yes.
that is a good thing to learn.
Only for shopping online.
So people are shopping on dating platforms?
Dating, no.
You said 8%.
Dating online? I don't believe we do have that though. Maybe mistaken.
Yeah, I think you're saying things, Prunam.
Where did you read that, Poonam?
Online dating. Yeah, it's there.
Where is it?
It's there.
Go back.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait. Yeah, online dating, 8%. I think these are apps accessed. Yeah.
Oh, no.
No. Next slide has it. Just go to the next slide.
No. This one?
No, one more.
No, one before. Sorry, one before.
Before.
Just one before. Yeah, stop here.
Online dating,
3.8.
Hey, so this is not for the shoppings though. So,
But interestingly, online dating access on mobile phone is higher than PC laptop.
yes, because people use like online dating through their mobile, right? So this slide show the usage between mobile apps and through laptop or PC, not the live shopping though.
Because you've got spend 78,237,000.
Yes, but in online dating application, now like for example, like
Buying
they're
credits.
buying the subscription, right? And they're buying the credit for them to be able to do the online dating.
Or they're buying stuff we can't discuss it this phone.
good insight. So I think good catch, Prunam. Sharp eyes. Any other questions? Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir. As we know, retail is a platform that we sell consumer goods. And how about the consumer good in online shopping? Because as you said before, clothing is a main product. And how about the consumer goods?
What do you mean by customer goods?
Yeah, consumer good is such as
Consumer.
toothpaste, shampoo.
Oh, okay.
And
Beauty.
yeah.
FMCG products.
FMCG
Yeah.
products.
Yeah.
Okay. So, can we go back to the slide, please? So basically, based on the slide, if you consider consumer goods like shampoo, lotions, it's all under the beauty product. Beauty product is 43%. So number one is clothing, right? And then beauty products,
It's number two.
number two,
43%.
43%. And then followed by food and beverages, right? And then let's say home appliance is like rice cookers, refrigerator, and all that stuff, right?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, beauty product is like, in my assume, beauty product is such as skincare, but consumer good is like detergent, and then wipe.
So,
yeah.
yes,
Is it
household
include
product.
the
Based
beauty
on-
product?
Based on our survey,
Yes.
so let's say like detergents and like soap for like clothing, we filter it, we consider it part of the home alliance, and if we don't put it here, it means it's below the 30%.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay. Maybe one last question before we move on. Maybe a question for you, Brian. How fast is the growth? Yeah, of using online. I mean, is it 20%, 30% on an annual basis? Do you have that?
Basically, if it's like totally like in Indonesia, the growth is roughly around 18 to 26%. Okay, but it's very different between city though. Like tier 1 city, tier 2 city, and tier 3 city. You can find one case, for example, if the government is enter the city and they improve the infrastructure, suddenly the growth will be like 3 times, 4 times, because we just like invest on that city, right? So, but overall, it's around 18 to 26% roughly.
Okay. Thank you very much. Last words from anyone? Yes.
Just a comment. Sometimes this is the numbers is the approved, I think, confirm for me because I handle too many SMEs. But these numbers not just from the SMEs. Sometimes SMEs we think they open the shop, they have the warehouse to sell the products. But we need to think we have plus demography with the from the influencers. Indonesia, young people, many make money from the affiliate marketing. So this is the power of the Indonesian ecosystems, not just for the SMEs, but with the affiliate marketing. So nice for the statistic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Brian. Can you please join me in thanking him for his very insightful presentation. So we'll move on to the next phase of our afternoon session. Maybe I hand it back to Sachin, and then I'm handing over the baton to you, Poonam.
Thank you very much, and we should get moving on to the next session, which is very interesting.